The Field of 68 Best Bet Show, presented by BetRivers. The three-man weave is here to guide you through the 152 slate college basketball extravaganza. Oh my gosh, what a day. It is the most line games of the season, perhaps of all time. I did peek ahead, though. In February, there are 2 Saturdays that are a little bit bigger than this one. But, fellas, to date, this is it.
That, Kai.
I know. I peeked ahead. I did the spoiler already. That's on me. Quick takeaways from yesterday, and then we'll jump right in. Jim, I'm going to you first.
Malik Hall still matters, very much so. He came back for Michigan, or he left the game for Michigan State late, and I think that contributed heavily to their big-time collapse. They didn't hit a three the entire game, 0 for 7. Kind of a miracle the over got there, with the teams going like 6 for 25 combined from deep. We'll take it. But yeah, I mean, I think the air, one of the Michigan State guys on Twitter said the air went out of the balloon when he left the game.
Yeah.
I think he matters quite a bit. So monitor his status going forward. If he's back out and can't return next game, Michigan State is a different team.
Yes.
Just a big red, Cornell. I never had bets that do that. Just get down 13 and then rally back late in the second half. That was kind of fun. That team's just a lot of fun. So I'll probably just blindly be backing them for the foreseeable future. Probably not a great investment strategy. It's probably the worst time to do that. Could have started that a month ago and made a lot more money, but I'm in love with that team. They just continue to impress me every time I watch, and it's just kind of how I want to play basketball in my, how I envision myself, Kai, in my utopic basketball state, which we'll never actually achieve, but that's one can dream.
I feel like we'll get back on the court someday, but boy, last session was rough.
Bet on yourself.
My takeaway, Eastern Michigan. Woof. I mean, they lost by 34 to Akron. Imani Bates had a mini tantrum on the bench. What a story that's become.
Also, 104 to 67. I just now saw that score.
Yes. They didn't play a single ounce of defense. Layup line. Horrific.
Pretty rough. VCU, enormous win over Dayton. The Flyers basically gave that game away. Interesting. And then Illinois guys, like Jim said, officially back? ? Or another asterisk with the Hall injury. I don't know. We'll see. TBD, that's in the past. Let's look forward to our first game of our slate. It's Kansas State. It's TCU, a Big 12 battle. TCU, Matt, -4. I'm going to spoil it right now. I'm back in TCU for a third straight game. I'm once again fading K-State. The line just felt short to me. Why am I stupid? Why am I wrong, Matt?
No, you're not. I think it's the right play. I think it's, I don't know. Do we care about Micah Peavy? I know TCU is kind of back to this.
Not really. No,
I don't really either. I think the whole TCU buy low narrative that we've been spewing has been rooted in the fact that they've been the same consistent rotation game to game. We started to see them kind of play better. Now they're down Peavy, but I'm with you, Kai. I think the other guys might a little bit more. I'm not overly worried about that. And I continue to think K-State's a little bit overrated. I think they're a good basketball team. I think they're a very good basketball team. I don't think they're 4 points worse than TCU on the road, basically implying that they're equals. I think TCU's a better ball club. So hopefully play like it today. I think, Jim, after the Texas collapse, they'll be motivated. So I think it's a good spot to back the Horned Frogs too.
Yeah, they should be. Both these teams coming off late game swings where K-State really kind of pulled away from Oklahoma State, whereas TCU collapsed. Texas scored on 13 of their last 16 possessions against TCU. It was a total defensive sieve performance. Watching it, I had TCU plus the points and was like, can we just maybe get one stop? I'm giving up on winning outright, but can we stay inside the number? Thankfully, they were able to do that, barely. But it was really concerning from their defense. At least Texas is more balanced than this K-State team, so you can kind of game plan a little better, you'd think, for the Wildcats. And Marquise Noel's playing incredible right now, All-American caliber.
Yes.
But if you go through early in the year, he was a good guard. He has taken off supernova. I don't know how sustainable that is. Again, I buy K-State. I just think TCU is a little better. I've loved them all season. Would definitely lean towards the Horned Frogs here as well.
Matt, to your PV point, he's missed 2 games this year. They're 2-0 against the spread. They did control that Texas game without him. They're really deep. I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, this feels short. Hey, if they don't cover, if they don't win, if K-State wins this game, that'd be great for me. I see a top 10 matchup on Tuesday. It's a win-win here. But yeah, I think TCU's athleticism and physicality gives it right back to K-State, something they've been holding as an advantage over other teams they've played. Nobody's really been able to stop Noel, but nobody stops Mike Miles either. I think it's kind of a wash there with those 2 guards. Lampkin should get success inside on the glass.
Yeah, get on the glass. Like West Virginia game, that was when Kansas State got really exposed. Like the Mountaineers just hammered them inside. They probably should have won that game.
And maybe K-State's offense starts to tail off just a little bit. They had under 1 point per possession against Oklahoma State. 4 is probably my limit here, so -4 would probably be the most I would lay with TCU at BetRivers. Arizona at Oregon is our next game. It's a Pac-12 battle. Jim, I still can't trust Oregon. I mean, they had no chance against Arizona State. They gave up 1.32 points per possession against an offense that ranked around 100th at the time. Who do you see winning this game? The spread is 4 points. Oregon is a home dog.
Yeah, is this going to be the Oregon thing from last weekend where they get embarrassed on Thursday and then they come with this home run effort on Saturday? Whoa, okay, here come the Ducks. They have the front court to battle, which I think matters a lot against Arizona. You don't just get completely clowned by Ballo and Tubelis. So hopefully they hold up there, or for their part at least. And I was relatively surprised to see the Ducks are 8-1 against the spread last 9 against Arizona. Of course, only one of those games is Tommy Lloyd. They only played once last year. Arizona won, but Oregon covered.
Yeah,
probably not taking too much away from that because just a very different team under Lloyd than they were under Miller. They play very differently. So not too much to take away from that, Matthew, but I actually kind of lean towards the Wildcats on the road. I just don't trust Oregon at all, man.
I'm with you. This would feel like a prototypical home dog spot where I would like be in love with backing Oregon, but I'm with you. I don't trust Oregon. I'm not going to fade Oregon because of that pattern you mentioned, Jim, and also because, as I've said a million times in this program, Pac-12 is weird unless you have a really strong, discernible edge. I just don't like to bet this conference guy.
Yeah, Oregon has size, but guess what? So does Arizona. They have just as much, and they're more skilled and they're more talented. And the backcourt battle's not close. Arizona State's coming from Oregon State, like you mentioned, Matt. Not a lot of travel here. Maybe that's an advantage for Arizona. It's just a matter of one team being way better and one team being Jekyll and Hyde. So I would take Arizona or nothing. The line feels about right to me. Honestly, I'd probably have this line a little bit lower than 4, but I'm not taking it. No, thank you. Duke at Clemson is where we're going next. I laughed my little head off, Matt, when I saw Clemson opened at pick. I laughed more when Clemson took money. It's fantastic. Clemson is a favorite against Duke. When's the last time that's happened? I looked back with some lazy research. It's at least 10 games. I didn't look further than that. Who do you see winning this game, Matthew, as the resident Duke fan on this show? Do you see your Blue Devils winning at Little John?
I don't. Little John's a house of horrors. It always has been for the Devils. I mean, there's a few house of horrors. It's not, Jim. Is that bad data? I think it used to be. I think it's like a changed narrative. Like, yeah, Jim, give us the stats on this because there was a time in the mid-O's when it was late 10s, but I think that's changed. Give us the data.
Last 10 at Little John, 6-4. Duke straight up and against the spread. Like it's totally normal. Like they're better than they are worse there. They've won 2 of the last 3, covered 2 of the last 3. But of course, they're coached by someone different now, and maybe that's a downgrade, and maybe that history stuff doesn't matter. It's going to be the new house of horrors. And of course, this is a worse Duke team than in recent years. Probably no Roach, and Clemson is a complete world beater right now. They are unstoppable. So, historical stuff, grain of salt. It isn't like Duke has lost 9 in a row there or something. I just wanted to make that.
Yeah, I agree. But I still don't trust this Duke team. I think the current form is too troublesome to back them. Clemson obviously playing with a ton of confidence. We thought this team could be sneaky good this season. Health kind of, restricted their momentum to start the year. I think we're starting to see the best version of them. I don't know how much more room they have to run though, from a value perspective, right? Like, is this team better than last year? Is this team the best team Brownells? Is it better than the 2021 version, which was the team? I think they were the 7th seed,
like the 4 seed.
They're all kind of the same.
5 seed recently.
So my point is, I feel like Clemson has I try to treat Clemson like I have Providence before Cooley kind of blew it up the last few years. Like it has a very tight range. When they get too low, they're usually a good buy low. When they get too high, they're usually a good sell high. And I think this team is in that same ilk.
Jim, did you give your thoughts already? I don't know if you want to expand.
I just kind of paired it with the historical data. I don't really want to bet Duke here, even though the number is screaming for me.
I know I'm tempted to bet Duke, but I just can't do it.
I did not mention the number. It is it's basically pick at BetRivers. Clemson was as high as -1.5. I think Duke's taking a little bit of money right now. Clemson's clearly been the better team. They're number 1 in defense in the ACC. They're really locking down the paint. They're also destroying teams from the line. number one free throw percentage and number one free throw attempt rate for Clemson in conference play. That's a good winning strategy. That's how you go 6-0. Clemson's better. I lean their way, but the line I think is still pretty funny. I'd make Duke a favorite personally. I'm staying away. Iowa State at Kansas. Whoo, this is a fun one here. Jim, pretty big line for the way the Clones have been playing lately, 7.5. Your thoughts on KU-ISU?
Yeah, I don't fully buy Iowa State as a top 15 team. They've been making a lot of shots recently, and I just don't know that that's going to be mega sustainable for them, particularly Kalsher. But he's been on a hot streak, and I don't want to get in front of that too much. Kansas is also not very good as a home favorite this year. 3-6 against the spread. Last three: Harvard, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. No chance at covering any of those three. Like well below the number the entire 40 minutes in both games. So I have a hesitancy, Matt, laying big points with them. It seems like Kansas is more of a win games regardless of where it's at or what the spread is, not a juggernaut max out your analytical ranking type thing. So I would probably lean towards the Clones here just on the number.
I bet the Clones. I actually got a bad number. I had 7.5. So shouts to all you sharps who got the 8 in the hook last night on the overnights. I'm sort of in the same camp of you, Jim, where I think the number actually feels almost short just on a pure price perspective. But I feel like I've had success this year betting against my number on these dogs when it just feels right. And this just feels so right to me. Like Iowa State is playing extremely well. You're right, Jim. I think Scott Shaver talked about this in the chat. Like Kansas does not emphatically put away conference opponents at home. And this Big 12 team is too good to put away anyone by double digits. And that's basically what you're getting here at 7.5, 8. The Clones are 4-0, KU's 4-0. I tend to think there's a lot of up from this Iowa State team today. I think they want to go into Fog and get this W. So I can't see this being a blowout. I really can't.
Yeah, it was straightforward for me. Iowa State's looked awesome in their 4 Big 12 games. They won 3 as a dog outright. They smashed Texas Tech as a favorite. And KU's been playing with fire. Oklahoma State by 2, Texas Tech by 3, OU by 4. The Clones are legit. Their defense is unbelievable. They get loose balls. They're so well coached. They're not going to be intimidated by the Fog. They lost by 1 point here last season.
Last year, it's right now.
I'd take the Clones at +7 or better, personally.
Sorry, real quick. Shoon's injury, was that just a minor thing? It's probably worth mentioning. I know he did get banged up last game.
Yeah, they think he's going to be okay, but it is like check at game time.
Okay.
Always injuries. I'm sure he'll be out, Matt.
And we're at the point that your injuries just don't matter. Sorry, Kai, back to you.
They matter. They matter. Only when they do. Jim, chat mob part 1.
Matt, ACC question for you here. A couple people asking about NC State laying 3.5 at home against Miami, Florida. What do you think?
I didn't really have a strong take here. I guess I kind of lean toward the home dog here, but Miami burned me badly with a 12 of freaking 17 3-point shooting percentage against my Boston College babies last game. So a little mad at the Canes right now.
Matt, is that the 2 best backcourts in the league? Sorry, NC.
Yeah. Yes.
You take them over Davis and Love?
I take Miami's over Davis and Love. I wouldn't take.
I'd take Miami's as well.
Okay. All right, Kai, in the SoCon, Scott H. Chattanooga at Samford. Samford laying 2 here. Still personnel questions. We don't know if Quest Glover is going to be back, but it hasn't mattered. Samford sits atop the standings. This is a big one. What do you think?
Yeah, it hasn't mattered at all. Samford's 5-0 in the SoCon without their best player. It's kind of nuts, especially after they struggled when he initially went out. I lean Chattanooga +2. Nothing strong here. I just think they're frankly better, and the non-Case Glover lineup has to fail at some point. Has to.
They've been shooting like crazy from
that
deep.
helps.
I just don't think that's going to sustain. Matt, from the Valley, big one. Not atop the league here because Indiana State's not involved, but Bradley at Drake. Drake laying 2.5 at home against the defensive juggernaut that is the Braves. What do you got?
Like Bradley, market bet it up to 3. I mean, like 3 at Circa, now it's down to 2.5. 2 other shops. Man, I think the price is pretty sharp.
There aren't other shops.
Or a BetRivers show.
Sorry, BetRivers is the only shop that exists, and you should only be betting through them. And their line has it at 2.5, and I think that's pretty sharp. So nothing for me.
All right, good. Kai, Cincinnati is at SMU.
Yes.
Cincinnati laying 5.5 now. They've taken a little bit of money in the market, presumably related to the availability of Zurich Phelps. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Zurich Phelps, SMU's best player, has missed the last 2 games. Their coach says he's day-to-day. I laid 5 with Cincinnati. I'm sure he'll be playing today. So do with that what you will. Lean Cincy. If he's out, Cincy.
Yep. Also, kind of like the under. He's their only real shot creator if he's out. 3-pack from Ethan W. Matt, you get Richmond at St. Bonaventure. This one's going to be announced by Field of 68 member Matt McCall.
Love it.
Going to be on the call there. What do you got here in Olean?
Kind of lean toward the home team. Bonnie's at home. Point and simple for me. I think that's just a better spot. And Richmond can be erratic. And I think if you go on the road to Olean and you face some of the different myriad of defenses that Schmidt throws out, it's probably a good kryptonite to Richmond's fluid offense. It's basically a pick, though, man. It's a low line.
I had the stats. Bonnie's 7-1 against the spread at home this year.
Oh,
it's good.
Go. Speaking of nearly a pick, Kai, big one in the horizon. Wright State at Milwaukee. The Panthers have emerged as a true contender in that league.
How about that?
What do we think here?
Points. I think the over is a good play here. I think both teams are going to run. Both teams are going to score. They've basically each played and on average slower teams in the league, and they both play pretty fast offensively. They both can score. Wright State has scored like 80 or 90 points last couple of games. I think the over is the play there.
Yeah, and they're coming from Green Bay, not very far. Wright State again, about to pick them in that one. Matt, side or total thoughts on our Cougars of SIU Edwardsville laying 14.5 at home against Lindenwood? Someone in the chat also asked, is this a shootout? I believe Lindenwood's point guard missed last game. Need to double check on that. Caldwell, what do you think?
Man, 14's huge. I still lean their way. SIU is one of those teams you don't think about it. You just you bet them or you pass on them, right? Kind of like Cornell for me right now. Probably too late to the market for a true buy low spot, but I'm going to keep riding the wave of SIU. Yeah, categorically more athletic than Lindenwood too. I think that's a good anecdote as a favorite.
Did we mention Kevin Caldwell, Lindenwood?
Yeah, I was verifying that he was out. Yeah, I think that hurts the shootout angle too. It's going to be tough to score against that SIU D without their point guard. Matthew, going back to you for a Big 12 question because it is your Mountaineers. They're on the road at Oklahoma, getting 3.5. Even I feel like this is the spot for West Virginia, right?
I do too. It gets a team that's, they don't. And Oklahoma's obviously really well coached and they're stingy, but I think this is a good matchup for West Virginia where you can just kind of win an ugly, muck it up game on the road. Maybe you grab 15 offensive rebounds, get some second chance points, and just win a gross one. So yeah, I do lean the Mountaineers, but nothing strong.
All right, Kai, how about South Carolina coming off their massive win at Kentucky? They are getting 8 as a home dog to Texas A&M, who also is coming off a big win over our Tigers.
Yeah, I guess I lean towards the Gamecocks, but I did not play it. I think A&M on the road is a different team than A&M at home, but they've certainly looked better lately.
They're playing better. Yeah, A&M's playing better.
Gamecocks, nothing though. Yeah.
Apparently, Obaseki getting hurt just doesn't matter. Right. Not a big deal.
5-star recruit, irrelevant. Yeah.
Yep. Matt, also SEC. AB Sports wonders why Georgia is getting 5.5 or 6 at Ole Miss. I sort of agree. Georgia's been way better. Ole Miss has been bad.
Yeah, I love Landshark, and I don't even agree with 6. 6 is way too high. I opened 4.5, so I guess they've been taking some money. I'm not going to bet Georgia, though. I think it's still but I just respect Ole Miss too much. I still think they're a little bit of a buy low, even though I've been dead wrong on them. So if you don't buy into what I'm saying on Ole Miss, I think Georgia's a great bet at +6.
All right, several questions about the Wisconsin total. Kai, we can kind of discuss this in tandem. It's 137, no Tyler Wall, no Race Thompson, no Xavier Johnson. I actually think that hurts the defenses more given some of the past results. Indiana has been garbage defensively the last 3 games, absolutely lit up. So I kind of lean towards the over. Am I crazy?
I think Indiana's been playing faster without Race Thompson in the lineup as well.
Check.
Wisconsin can't really score though without Tyler Wall. So the total is tough, man. I'd stay away from this game completely, to be honest. There's 151 other games.
Yeah, Wall, the on-off stuff says he's more impactful to the defense, but yeah, just perceptively, how are they going to score? I don't know. It's a question. Matt from Nick Sheeran, Bryant is laying 4 at New Hampshire. He says, is that too short? I don't understand this New Hampshire team. I just throwing my hands up. They are just so much better than I envisioned they could possibly be. So I'm sitting that out. What do you got?
Yeah, it's up to 5. You're right. Talent wise, it's not even close. This should be a 15-point spread, just my guys versus your guys. But on the road, early start, 12 Eastern, I don't trust Bryant. And New Hampshire, you're right, just continues to defy logic.
Yep. All right, 2 more, and we'll go back to the outline. Kai, you get an OVC total. If you have a side take, feel free to give it as well. Southeast Missouri State and Moorhead, 144.5 is the total. Somebody asked about the over. What do you think in this one?
Mark Freeman is in. That's Moorhead's best player, point guard. That means the over is the way I lean, and Moorhead is the side I lean.
He's very important.
Yeah, they went over last game without him, right?
Yep. And we know
Yeah,
Simo
so
likes to get
Every
up and
team
down.
went over the last couple of days. The
Yeah,
efficiency's
that's
been
true. Yeah.
stupid.
Through the roof. That's why I had a best bet over yesterday, Kai, rather than the
Yeah.
unders of
Right.
typical.
Yeah.
Last one I want to mention here before we move on to second half of the outline. Portland and Gonzaga. Gonzaga laying 18 at home here after 3 straight barn burners on the road. Portland is a lot healthier. Guys, I just think this is too many points. I think Portland kind of
Yes.
mucks this game up. Not
Yep.
mucks it up really, but I think they can score. They've got Wood and Robertson back. They looked much better last time out. 18's too many here, right?
Moneyline sprinkle, Jim. Like
No.
Hail Mary, just Hail Mary. I think this game is hyper close. Like I think Shante with all his dudes back, I think it's gonna be close. I think the Zags need to be a little bit awake for this one. That's all I'll say. They cannot come out sleepwalking.
I think it's worth it at the price you're going to get.
At the price you're gonna get, Kai, Portland can absolutely beat this Gonzaga team.
Because they got smacked with
huge losses. I mean, they're up to like 100th in Ken Palm. Now they're down to 162. We know this team's good.
They can beat them in Portland. I don't know if they can beat them in Gonzaga.
God, they beat Nova by 12. I don't know. It's not any good. Whatever. Okay, they compete Michigan State. Should beat Michigan State. UNC. They had on the ropes.
They're a totally different team with Moses Wood. Totally different team. I agree they're undervalued. And I took a bad number. Gonzaga took money. I got 18. It's 18 and a half, 19 right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Surprised.
All right, got a few more questions in there. There's just been a lot, so we'll push some to the second half of the chat mob portion. Kai, back to you.
Before we do, guys, can you please hit the like button on the video? We would much appreciate it. 100 likes sounds like a reasonable goal. Let's do it. Let's get some likes on the video. We get nothing from it, I'll be honest, but I think it looks cool, and maybe the people that sponsor the show get something like an award. I don't know what it is. Let's start off the second half of the show with Providence at Creighton, a big East matchup here. Jim, here's what I did. I saw Ed Cooley as a decent-sized dog, and I took it. 60% ATS, I believe, as a dog is what you told us a couple shows ago. I think Providence is awesome. The only thing, though, is Jared Bynum. What is his status? Is he playing? We don't know.
Up to 7 now. Wow.
Yeah, Bynum's big. This was like fully torn in 2 different directions, so I couldn't bet it because, as you mentioned, Ed Cooley, 87 and 57 as a road dog. At Providence and Fairfield, like he's been 60% at both schools. It's just a consistent trend with him. But this also feels like a nice get right home spot for Creighton after a really tough road gauntlet. They're healthier. Providence is not.
Yeah.
6-0 Providence in the league, having not played a very difficult road schedule, whereas Creighton's played, like I said, the gauntlet back home in Omaha. The spot really screamed Creighton to me, but like the situational with Providence as a dog, that screams Friars, Matt. It's firmly sitting on my hands here.
Yeah, no, I wrote down the spot feels a lot like the spot when Creighton hosted Butler. And now I know Butler is a much worse team, we now know, than Providence. I still think that game was Creighton played very well that game. Like Butler actually played pretty well relative to what they've seen lately. Creighton just looked awesome. And I think this is a spot again where they play well off that tough road stint. I think they're back home. 7's too many to delay. If you got a good number at 5, props to you. I guess, I don't know, Kai, are you going to endorse a 7? I guess you're on 6, so you like 7 for Providence on the other side.
Yeah, I do like Providence. Even with Bynum out, I still think they can hang. Creighton doesn't turn teams over, so they're not going to pressure Providence and take advantage of the lack of point guard play. Creighton has been dominant at home against Big East teams, but the opponents have been pretty weak. It's Butler, DePaul, and Seton Hall, which was a home run spot. Can the Friars get Kalkbrenner in foul trouble? It's hard to do, but they're excellent at rebounding. They're excellent at getting to the rim as well. They also have the best defense so far in Big East play. Part of that is scheduling, of course, but they have plenty of length to match up with this Creighton team. They're really tough. I lean towards Providence here at 6.5 at BetRivers. If you can find a 7, that's pretty good too. Next one. Yep. I put the Mizzou Tigers on the outline. Suck it, Matt. Deal with it. Mizzou at Florida. I'm a little curious about the spread here. I'll be transparent with you, Matthew, because Florida took money. It is back down to 5.5 at BetRivers. I snagged a rogue 6.5. Mizzou on the road hasn't been bad. They're 2-1 against the spread, nearly beat Arkansas, beat Wichita outright. They shot horribly against Texas A&M, 7 for 31 from deep. I think it's uncharacteristic. Now, put cold water on me. Explain to me why I'm crazy for liking the Tigers today.
Because I think Florida's still solid, stubbornly, but I really do. I continue to look at like what they've done the last Beating Georgia has now looked a lot better, right? Like we all made fun of them because they got down early to Mike White's Florida team and they came back and won pretty convincingly. That's aged very well. I think the LSU game was, they laid 2, they won, pretty easily late in that game. Auburn, they probably should have won that game, covered pretty easily. The A&M one was the tough one, but A&M again playing better too. I just think this Florida team's starting to figure it out. And offensively, they're going to have issues. They haven't solved all those, but defensively, they're really strong. I think they make Mizzou play in the half court. I think Todd Golden is hyper-focused on not letting Mizzou do what they do in transition. They execute and they succeed in that. Now, Mizzou can still, make shots and still put you away, but I don't think they're not as willing, they're as able to score in transition as much today, Jim, as they usually are. So I like the Gators. It's a high number, but I like the Gators.
Matt, you're missing a very key part of this handicap. You know what that is?
What is such?
My father will be in attendance cheering for the Tigers. Come on. How dare you
Was it a
miss
point?
that?
Yeah, all right, let me
One
adjust my
point and a
numbers.
half, 2.
Yeah, maybe
Adjust
5.
my numbers.
Come on, he's a influential person down there.
Model crunch, recrunch.
The thing about like desperately trying to keep Mizzou out of transition is that you sacrifice dominating them on the offensive glass.
Yep.
They're going to get way back and not take advantage of that huge weakness of the Tigers. So it's kind of give and take there. That Mizzou, maybe they can turn Florida over a little bit. Lofton's been pretty steady, but I don't know that they've, look at Texas A&M, kind of made them uncomfortable. They weren't able to score efficiently at Auburn, who also brings a little bit of pressure. This is a weird game, Kai. I do think the shooting splits matter a ton. Mizzou's going to fire away from deep because going inside against Castleton will be mostly a fool's errand. So it's kind of almost too high variance of an outcome based on Mizzou shooting for me to bet. Just going to sit and cheer for my Tigers and hope my Pops brings home a victory for the alma mater.
Yeah, this would be a huge win for Florida. They've yet to beat a top 85 opponent in KenPom. So while I agree they're looking better, they still don't have a good win on their resume. I actually worry about turnovers for Florida. I know Lofton is sure-handed, but everyone else is susceptible. And the Mizzou's pressure and weird zone they're going to throw out, they might bother Florida here. They have no answer for Castleton at all. If the Gators break through that press and zone, he's definitely going to eat. But like Jim said, like Matt said, Florida's not going to crash the glass. They're worried about transition. They're going to get back. I think that's a big mistake. I think they give up a huge advantage by doing that. I also think Mizzou's a better team. So the spread's simply too high. Making it 5.5, 6 on a neutral, I think Mizzou should be favored. Hence, I like Mizzou here.
If this was LSU instead of Florida, Matt would be like, these results are bull hockey because this like situational. Yeah.
Everything is through the eyes of the beholder, Jim, and I am stubbornly in on this Gators team. No, that's exactly right.
All right, we're staying in the SEC. Kentucky at Tennessee. It's a huge spread for these two names, man.
Not anymore. It's down to 10.
10.5 at BetRivers. Kentucky's taking money. They're in a world of hurt, Jim. They're in free fall. A reminder, Kentucky started number 1 in KenPom. Currently number 43. They're outside the top 80 in Bart Torvik. Jacob Toppin, Cason Wallace, both questionable, though I think Cason Wallace probably.
They are playing. Just announced. Yeah, boy, Jimmy.
Hence the money. Tennessee rocks, Jim. Who do you got in this game?
So full injury update. Cason Wallace and Jacob Toppin will play. Severe Wheeler is questionable and will not start. Damian Collins will not play. So that's your full Kentucky Wildcat injury update. Kai, we talked about it pre-show. The Wildcats have been a double-digit underdog twice under Calipari. 2 times in like 14 years. They won outright as a 10.5-point dog at West Virginia in 2018. And they got blown out at Florida all the way back in 2013, 10 years ago. So it's really, really rare to see this big of a spread for them. But Matt, they're playing horrible. Tennessee is kind of a juggernaut. My gut tells me we get a backs against the wall, decent performance hang around from Kentucky, almost like the game that they played UCLA in New York. That was not a 10-point spread, but they just kind of hung around, stayed within range. I feel like that's what we're going to see today, but I'm not willing to pay to find out.
I can see that too, just from a price perspective. I mean, open 14, now it's down to 10, 11. I actually kind of lean toward the Vols at the current price. Weren't as dominant last game, but this is a handicap where we talked about this with fading the Blue Bloods when they're struggling. Like, there's really not a good buy low spot because every team wants to beat Kentucky. Like, whether Kentucky's 2-12 or 12-2, it doesn't matter. And Tennessee absolutely will be wired like that when they come to Rocky Top today. I think they're locked in. We get like a dominant Tennessee defensive performance where UK's offense looks completely helpless. We don't know how healthy Casson Wallace is going to be in those other guys. Like, I just think Kentucky could really struggle to score here. And Tennessee's offense, we know, can go awry at times, but if they're making shots, they're getting on the glass, which I expect they will today. I think they cover this 11-10.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky's resume is horrible. They pretty much need this win, or else they're in deep doo-doo for the NCAA tournament. It's just kind of hard to see how Tennessee doesn't dominate Kentucky. Perhaps Tennessee's shooting defense comes back down to earth. Reminder, they're allowing teams to shoot less than 21% from three. The second best team in the country is allowing 25%, and only 37 teams nationally are allowing less than 30%. So it's basically historic what Tennessee's doing on the perimeter. And Kentucky can actually shoot. They have shooters this season. So pure number, if you believe in programs, it's Kentucky. But I don't trust them. And Tennessee's super dangerous at home. So staying away.
Frederick looked... go ahead, Jim.
I'm curious if Wheeler doesn't play and we see the ball in Casey Wallace's hands and they play well, people are just going to be clamoring for benching Wheeler after that.
And then Frederick's now back, right? So he played really well last game. So you could see this all comes to life with Wallace and Frederick. And it's and the Kentucky light bulb flips on and they're awesome. But not today.
But not today. All right. I had to finish this off with the Conference USA battle because the Conference USA is awesome this year. Yep. North Texas at Florida Atlantic. It's a marquee matchup. FAU getting closer to that at-large bid. This might solidify it, barring a major collapse down the stretch. Matt, they survived FIU, who has been scrappy the last couple games. North Texas got by La Tech. Their only conference loss is against Florida Atlantic. Game one was ugly, 56 possessions, 96 points, 6 for 45 combined from three. Woof. North Texas was up by 9 in that game, Matt. Do they finish the job? Do they get one back here against the Owls?
I feel like somehow, some way, North Texas finds a way to win this game. And I feel a little better about that, seeing FAU look non-invincible the last couple of games out. And I mean, North Texas has looked far from dominant too. I mean, they need squeaked by La Tech.
They're up by 18 that game.
Yeah, they were up by and La Tech came back. Very good point. But on the road, they haven't been. I mean, they squeaked by Western Kentucky. I know it's a talented team. They squeaked by Middle Tennessee. Same thing as
La Tech, though. They were
up big.
Let them back in.
There's usually big runs in North Texas games, which is odd because they're a slow-paced team. Like, they've come back on teams as well. I think they get this win. I didn't bet. I thought the price was a little bit too low, given how highly I have FAU rated. So I didn't bet it, but I do think they're the right side.
Yeah, Chip said some sharps on this over. I like the over here. They fully played North Texas's game at North Texas, and FAU is still able to win. I think they're able to turn up the tempo a little bit here, enough to get over 122, 123. Both teams can score a little bit in the half court. I think both teams will hit enough shots. I'm on board with that. A slight lean towards the over. I also think I would take the dog, if anything. It feels closer to a coin flip. North Texas is just so solid, and you rarely get them as a dog in league play. Even if they lose by 1 or 2, you're safe. I think this is going to be a really, really close game.
I was seeing I don't see it. I was hoping to see what the total was in game one. See if there's any indications there. I wouldn't rush to bet the over. 56 possessions in the first game. Like, I don't really care how efficient they might be. No, thank you.
I bet it'll be at least 59 today.
At least 59. It could be. Sure. Is that enough? Maybe. Both teams very good on defense. I actually lean toward North Texas as well as a dog in general. They stay in games. They're mega tough on defense. The number kind of leaned towards FAU at -3.5. I think they're the better team, but North Texas is a dog. Not going to fade that. All right, Chat Mob part 2, and then on to best bets, and then on to the rest of the day. Jim, what do we got?
All right, we'll start with one of the more maddening teams, I think, all year. Northeastern is hosting Drexel. Northeastern's taking a little bit of money. -2 was the last I saw. Matt, I'll go to you here, because I think Kai and I hate Northeastern enough. And
3.5.
Somewhat measured. 3.5. Wow. Oh my God. Why? All right, Matt, tell us why that money's coming in, or if we should be on Drexel.
Is there an injury here I may have missed? That was one thing I was going to check. I don't
there might
think
be.
So. I guess there probably is. I like Northeastern more than anyone. I don't like 3.5. Drexel's pretty good. Like, I know they have a new freshman point guard, Justin Moore, who's been very erratic, coming in behind Cam Winter, but everything else from last year and the year before is intact. They're awesome up front at the rim. They're pretty athletic on the wing. Like, I think Drexel's decent. I don't get this money at all. I really don't.
Oh, I totally disagree. I think Drexel's awful, but.
Oh, okay. I don't.
They lost to Stony Brook. Stony Brook's really bad.
Stony Brook's getting better. No, I disagree, Jim.
Losing Butler up front, I don't think they're quite as good at the rim anymore. So I don't know.
Amari Williams is a stud.
It's
That's all I have.
Northeastern. I'm not betting the game. So. Several people, Kai, asking about LSU at Alabama. The Tide laying 15 at home in a league game here. They're up to 5th in Ken Pond. The spread is high. What do you think?
Spread's nuts, but what have we seen lately in the SEC with these massive spreads? The home team is generally covering, or usually it's a home team. The big spread team is usually covering, unless your name is South Carolina and Kentucky. So yeah, I wouldn't really be eager to bet LSU, despite the fact that I do think this line is pretty high.
All right, Matt, ACC. Pitt coming off that tough loss at Duke. They controlled most of the first half. Now they're laying 3 on the road at Georgia Tech. Do the Panthers bounce back, or do they kind of crumble after that big loss?
I really wanted to bet Georgia Tech here. I just think Pitt off that spot against the funky zone with how reliant I think their offense is to create off ball screening against, basically favorable against man-to-man defenses. We found some flu intel on Georgia Tech, and the flu's worth 10 points. So that explains why this has been bet up to Pitt -3.
Yeah, came back on Georgia Tech, though. Got up to 5. So
we got to 5. Holy cow, good point.
Jalen Moore is in for Georgia Tech. That's kind of unexpected. The guys that are sick are Smith and Franklin.
A couple early tips to get to. They're going to let them jump the line here. George Mason at Davidson, Kai. Patriots laying 4 at home. Actually looked pretty decent despite a late collapse against SLU. They covered at SLU. Should have won outright. Weren't able to. Anything for you on this one?
They've been excellent at home, George Mason. Their ATS record is something like 6-2, 7-1, something like that. I leaned Davidson on the number, but I stayed away because Mason's a different team at home. So stayed away.
All right, Matt, back to the CAA for you. Delaware at Hofstra. Big time injury questions on the Delaware side. We don't know if Jameer Nelson Jr. is back. Sorry if that news has come out. I have not seen it. Hofstra's laying 8.5, 9. Does this hinge on Nelson's status for you?
No, it doesn't. It's too high. Like, these teams are, historically pretty competitive. I know there's not a lot of love lost from their the last few years. 9's too many for this matchup. I don't care who's playing. I really don't. I take the points.
I will field this one from Renzo Bros. Tulane laying 2.5 at home to UCF. Tulane has taken money. I agree with it. UCF's just gotten a little overinflated for me. Tulane's covered, I think, 4 or 5 in a row. Every game since the calendar turned to 2023, they've looked a lot better. A little bit healthier in the backcourt there. I like the Green Wave getting a big home W there. Their zone traps, I think, will mess with UCF. Kai, another big one in the CUSA that's been asked about a lot. UAB is laying 3.5 on the road at Louisiana Tech. UAB has really struggled lately, had some strange efforts. Do they bounce back and roll here today?
I think they bounce back. I lean towards UAB. Pretty short spread. La Tech's been great. No doubt about it. But I think UAB comes out pretty mad in this game and gets one here.
I'm with you. I think it's a good spot for UAB.
Fade UAB. I disagree. Sorry. I think UAB is really broken. I would fade this team.
Broken.
Defensively, they're like disastrous. It's weird. I'm fading UAB. That's just my take. Go ahead, Jim.
All right, Matt, you get Fordham laying 1 at LaSalle. Is Fordham kind of coming back to perception of dregs of the conference? LaSalle just had a big road win. What do you got for us?
Yeah, kind of a crapshoot type game. I do lean LaSalle though. I think Fordham clearly played above their heads in non-conference. They're still good, but they're still a little bit in the clouds for my money.
Kai, in the Big East, Seton Hall -4 at DePaul down at Wintrust. Do we believe in the Pirates to take advantage of the Blue Demons' foibles, or is DePaul's rolling after that Villanova win?
I'm staying fully away. I'd lean towards Seton Hall, but nothing strong.
I lean Hall too.
Matthew, Arkansas, similar spread here, -3.5, road favorite at Vanderbilt. Man, Arkansas has struggled lately. It's been a tough schedule for them. Is that why? Or you signed with Jerry Stackhouse and the best X&O coach in the conference?
That's right. Per the almanac. I like Arkansas at the current number at -3. They've had a tough schedule, and everyone realizes you can just zone them, and they really don't know what to do. And that, offensively, I think it's a good buy low in like this short little stint of a tough schedule for the Razorbacks. So I take Pick Sue on the road.
Kai from Ryan A, Utah at USC. USC is currently laying 5. Carlson status up in the air. He was ill last game, so there's a chance he could return, but it's also a short turnaround. These Pac-12 games are always 48 hours apart.
Yep.
I'm scared because of that.
It was stomach flu for Carlson. He had it on the way to the arena. He was supposed to play. It was a late scratch. I would be wary that he is out again, but I don't know for sure. I would never play a game just assuming injuries. You have to know for sure.
Okay, Matthew, right above your head there, your left shoulder, your bows. They're the late night degenerate special hosting Long Beach. Leg Show asked if we have any intel on the guards for Long Beach. We do know that they're not getting there. They didn't get there until like 4 hours ago.
Yep.
Really, really
Yeah.
bad plane trouble. So that's a detraction. Are you still riding with Beach even with the travel and injury issues?
Yeah, Kai found the travel intel, but just the fact that they were playing at Hawaii 48 hours less or after playing Thursday, usually the Big West does the schedule differently. So they're already in a tough spot, had the travel issue, probably down, we believe, their best player, most important player in Joel Murray. It's a huge number. I still hate it because the Bows are my babies, and I think it's a terrible spot for Beach going out to the island on short notice without their most important guard.
I'm surprised line hasn't moved.
It moved up to 8. They get that
7.5
down?
right now. Yep.
Okay, yeah. I got 7.5.
Kai, Virginia, 9.5-point favorites at Florida State and Tallahassee. First meeting with these two was not that close, surprisingly. Do you think Virginia can cover on the road?
Did Florida State cover game 1? They played this year. Did they play this year?
It was a 5-point game at Virginia. Excuse
me.
me.
Yeah, very
I bet on Florida State that game. I bet them again this game. +10. Yeah. At home. Virginia's good. They're going to win this game, but man, 10 points is a lot. And Baba Miller, game 2, he did not play well in game 1. He had like an ADO rating, but maybe he's better in game 2. So lean Florida State.
Virginia can't beat this team by 10. I don't think so. I just don't see it.
They can.
I don't think they can.
But I don't think they will, and I bet +10. Hopefully.
Matt, Grand Canyon at Cal Baptist. No Jovan Blackshear. He's out for the year with torn ACL. Shout out. Sucks, man. Nick Sheeran asked about the under. Does that help the under enough? A large rivalry here. This will be a
huge,
crazy
huge. Yep. I have no take on the total. You can take the total, Jim. I took Cal Bap on the side. I hate backing Cal Baptist. They've been disappointing all year. Whenever I bet them, they don't make shots. Whenever I don't bet them, they make shots. I bet first half, they play second half, and vice whatever. I still back here today. I think the line's insane because no Blackshear. Worry about their ball handling. The Lopes ball handling, I should say. So yeah, I like Cal Bap on the side.
Yeah, I shockingly kind of lean towards the over, but it's very muddied by not having Blackshear.
Because of that recent win. So Grand Canyon's 2-2 against the spread without Blackshear, and they've actually improved their KenPom rating because of that UTA.
They'd actually play well without him. Yeah.
Rayshawn Harrison's been awesome
in the second half. Just insane.
Yeah.
Kai, we got a bunch of Harry R questions to cover here. Air Force,
Harry.
the +3 at Fresno. Fresno does not have Isaiah Hill. They might not have Jamal Baker. I like the Air Troops. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Low line, but Fresno's been bad, and without those guys, they're in trouble against Air Force. Air Force might not have Ethan Taylor. He was out last game. They still won outright against Colorado State, so maybe it doesn't even matter who plays for Air Force. I like the under if Hill and Baker are out. There's just no way Fresno's going to score consistently, and it should be a sub 60 possession game.
All right, we'll quick hit the last of these. We're hitting right up to game times here. Matt, Youngstown -2.5 at Oakland.
Over. Why is this being bet down 6 points? I like the over here. I think I think Youngstown scores in transition easily, and Oakland gets it going back the other way too. Points galore.
All right, Kai, from east to west, Seattle at Utah Valley. Utah Valley laying 6. What do you think?
Utah Valley -6. Seattle's not great on the road. Utah Valley is incredibly tough at home. They won by like 15 last year in this matchup.
Chip asked about Mississippi State at Auburn. I think it's too high. I think Mississippi State gives a much stronger effort. They've taken a little bit of money, 7.5, 8.
It took my money.
I would be on the Bulldogs there.
Bulldogs for sure. Yeah, for sure. This is a money line play for me too.
Yeah, I still fear home Auburn, but not as much this year. And Mississippi State is such a junk it up, gross game underdog. It makes sense to me. Harry also asked about Stetson. Kai, they're getting 3.5 at Eastern Kentucky. Your big best bet winner from Thursday. Are you back in the Colonels again?
I lean EKU, but they're really bad against zones, and Stetson has a pretty good one. Well, not a good one. They're a terrible defensive team, but I think it might mess them a little bit. And Stetson's also incredible against the spread. I stayed away.
I think we will be here for another half hour if we try to hit every game. So unfortunately,
best bets
I think
time.
we should just go best bets. Yep.
Jim, start us off.
Hit us. We can tweet at us, I guess. If you really need to hear about a game, we can respond there. I got 2 Two totals: Northern Arizona at Sacramento State under 133.5. Both teams very half court oriented, and no Jalen Cone for Northern Arizona is enormous. Per Hoop Explorer, they're 11 points worse on offense without him, and they're 12 points better on defense without him. Like, just both sides of the ball come down. Sacramento State not going to speed things up. I know the market's bet this down. I still think there's value there. And then I'll give it over. Columbia and Harvard over 130.5. This is already 5.5 points higher than KenPom has it. He has 125. I think that's for a reason. Both these teams are better shooting than they've showed recently. They played 73 and 74 possessions last year, and this one is projected for 67. No, I think it's going to be closer to 70, maybe even over 70. So between that and some shooting, I think that is a good over. Matthew, to you.
Fellas, you know what they say about cowboy, and if it were easy, we'd all do it. But our vaqueros are built different today. Hop on that saddle, ride with me. Take it on Chicago State. First half specifically, -2.5. I like Chicago State. I respect this team, but the vaqueros, Jim, I bailed. I'm back on the horse, back on the saddle. Take the first half because I worry about that Preston second half maybe coming back to bite the erratic ball handlers of the vaqueros. But at first half, -2.5 at home. Boom, down in the valley. Let's go, Vox.
I love on a 152 game slate. Matt's best bet is UT Rio Grande Valley first half against Chicago State.
One of the two non-conference games today.
Focus.
Not even a conference game. It's with the independent Chicago State.
And my best bet is also total FIU over 144.5 at BetRivers. 8-2 to the over last 10 meetings between these two teams. 5-2 when Ballard's been there. Both teams play extremely fast offensively. And Emmanuel Acott might be out for Western Kentucky. If he is, that's good for the over. He's important on defense, and they play a little faster when he sits. So Acott being out would help this. FIU over 144.5.
I'll reiterate. Sorry, Kai. My total dropped during the show. I don't want to be a sleaze. So 132 is what it's at BetRivers. That will be my Northern Arizona Sacramento State number.
We'll lock in 132. We are off tomorrow. Cool. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the huge slate of basketball. We'll see you tomorrow. Hit the like button on the way out if you will.
Well, we won't.
Thank you, BetRivers. What?
We won't see him tomorrow. We're off.
We'll see you on Monday or Tuesday. We don't know yet. We'll let you know. All right. See you guys.